Okay, what's your name?
My name is Jacqueline Alexis Solis.
What is your definition of culture?
My definition of culture is like all the characteristics that make you you, and also like your beliefs and your values.
How do you define family?
I define family as like the people who are there for you, love and support you, like your biological family. But then I also think of like the family that you create, like your friends that come, um, that are kind of like family.
Who holds the most status in your family and why?
I would say my mom because she is a single mom and she did everything for us by herself, and everything that she does or everything that I can do and that she's done is all because of her.
How do you define success?
Success. I would say success is when when you accomplish things that make you happy, or when you feel like you did a good job at something. And yeah, you can be successful at even little things, but it's something that you did that you think you did a really good job at.
Do you consider your parents to be successful?
Yes, I consider both of my parents to be successful, especially my mom because she did everything. Um, she always has high goals and she's met them all, and she's done it all by herself.
How important is education in your family?
In my family, education is number one. Always, uh, it, I was always taught like you are gonna go to college. There was like no other option, and education has just been very important throughout like my whole family.
Did you ever live with your grandparents or extended family?
No,
Do you actively participate in an organized religion?
um, yes, but I guess not actively. I am Catholic, and um, I just don't go to church every Sunday, but I believe in Jesus, and I think that religion is very important.
How important is religion in your family and why?
In my family, religion was important, but it wasn't pushed on us. Um, why? Because we just sometimes didn't have time to go, but we always still followed the beliefs and talked about God a lot.
Do you plan to pass on religion to your children? Why or why not?
Do I what?
Like plan to pass on religion to your
Oh,
children?
yes, I do, and because it's something that's important to my whole family, and it's something that's already a part of me. So obviously, it's nice to keep teaching them what I learned growing up.
Okay, and last question. Are the roles of men and women specifically defined in your family? And if so, what are they?
Um, the roles in my family are very mixed. My mom has always took the part of mom and dad, so I've just known that you can do anything if you're a girl or a boy. You can have a hard job. You can have an office job. You can just be whoever you want.
All right, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Nicole Boulanger interviewing Catherine Boulanger. And let's begin. So, Catherine, can you tell me what defines culture in your opinion?
Well, let's see. Culture is. Part of culture is identification, but also a part of culture is, it stems from it stems from language. It stems from your background, heritage. What kind of ceremonies do you have? What particular values, and also from history. It also stems from history, I would say. But then, of course, a lot of culture is also related to the land that you're on, because sometimes I feel like culture springs up in response to where you are.
Okay, thank you. What would you say your family's culture is?
Let's see. The predominant part of my family's culture, I would say, is French Osage.
Can you explain what that is?
So what French Osage means is that my French ancestors emigrated to the United States sometime between the French Revolution and the American Civil War, and they my ancestor who immigrated, Pierre, he married with an Osage interpreter, and so that's where that kind of started.
So you were very white passing.
Yes, I get that quite a bit.
The same. I'm older sisters. How would you say that has affected you on the reservation?
On the reservation, not very much. I'm able to go into like our historical museums, and they're actually very willing to communicate with me about my own history. I mentioned wanting to learn the language, and because I'm not able to get back to the reservation all the time due to being at a university, they actually pointed me towards initially online language classes, but then when that wasn't able to be set up, they created, for myself and others who want to learn, they created like a language learning app that will read the words out loud to you and let you practice them.
Yeah. How would you say it's affected you off the reservation? Earlier we had been talking about some of your stories from your earlier childhood. Can you explain some of those?
Yeah. Off the reservation, as a child, as a very small child, it didn't really impact me that much. I honestly assumed that everyone was the same as I was, and just some people looked it more than others. But then when I got to kindergarten, at one point we did the story of, the first Thanksgiving. And I told my teacher that I needed to be one of the Native Americans because that was my history. And she did not believe me, and I walked into school that morning and I was given a pilgrim hat.
Yeah. What about the story that you were saying earlier about how on the playground you would play cowboys and Indians?
Oh yeah, so also with cowboys and Indians, there were times that we would divide up, and whenever I got to play, I always wanted to be one of the Indians. And a lot of times I was not allowed to. I was told that I had to be a cowboy because I was blonde-haired and blue-eyed, and then someone who was completely, as far as I know, was completely white would get to be the Indian just because she had brown hair.
Yeah, so there was a heavy emphasis on appearance versus what you actually identify as.
Yep.
So, Catherine, would you be willing to talk to me about how the Osage tribe identifies its members?
Yeah. So the Osage don't actually use blood quantum, which tends to be a pretty big shock to people outside of Native American groups. The Osage use a lot of historical records. They've kind of preserved who was in the tribe at different points, and so if you're descended from those members, then a lot of times, then you are seen as a member. But I think that affiliation also has a lot to do with identifying the culture and trying to learn the language and the history.
So you would say that probably has not affected you all that much.
Oh no, the Osage have actually a lot of my scholarships that I've gotten exist specifically because the federal government does quantify blood quantum, but the Osage government doesn't.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Beery. I'm a site coordinator at Boys and Girls Club.
And I'm Caleb A. Taylor. I'm the Director of Clubhouse Services here at the Boys and Girls Club.
What is your definition of culture?
Culture is people's heritage, where they come from, their makeup, kind of their background, what makes them them.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you define family?
Family is the background, people that helped you along the way. They're the people that gave you your values, that gave you your sense of belonging.
Who holds the most status in your family and why?
The most status in my family would probably be my grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
They've been married for over 65 years. Their core values and their sense of family have really implemented what family means to us. Holidays were always together, birthdays were always together. They were also very active within our church, and so just seeing how they welcomed other people that didn't have family, that didn't have a sense of belonging, and they just made them feel welcomed. That's what family's all about, and that's what I can say.
Nice. How do you define success?
I recently just learned this quote by Albert Einstein that says, "Try not to be a man of success, but try to be a man of value." So whatever your core values are, sticking true to those values and implementing those values when you come in contact with people is how I define success.
I like that. Nice job. How important is education in your family?
Education is very fundamental within my family, very vital. If you want to create generational wealth, if you want to create generational success, educating yourself and your family is very vital.
Is punctuality important to you? Why or why not?
Punctuality is very important to me. It's actually something that I'm trying to work on. Being punctual is very vital though, and that's something that we teach our kids here. It not only helps with future endeavors, whether it be work or school or any internships they might embark on, but it's just the value of time, which is something you never get back.
How important is religion in your family, and why?
Religion is very important. More importantly, creating a personal relationship with God. The reason being is it's kind of the makeup of your core values, your moral compass. My father was a pastor. My grandfather is a deacon within our church. So just growing up within the church, definitely having a personal relationship with God was definitely something that was impressed upon us. But then also, as you become a young adult, you decide to take certain ventures on your own, and you realize the importance of what you decide, of what's important to you. And so for me, a personal relationship is definitely important.
Are the roles of men and women specifically defined in your family? If so, what are they?
There's no specific definition of the gender roles within my family. We have strong women that, we all know women rule the world, so strong women that rule and are the backbone within our family as well as I think more than anything else, they complement each other versus just kind of fit into one certain role.
Have you ever felt excluded based on your gender or culture?
I wouldn't say so much on gender, but I would say probably culture, just because somebody might not understand your culture, somebody might not want to kind of step outside their comfort zone. It takes a lot for somebody to share their culture, but then also for somebody to receive somebody else's culture beyond their own, and just understand that perspective. Life is all about different perspectives, and so if you're kind of going with an open mind, you can kind of see the world from a broader sense.
Nice.
Let's restart that.
Why'd you have me ask that question?
I don't understand why it's in there.
This body's hilarious. All right, here we go.
Okay, I'll redo that. Wait, 1 second. I'm sorry, do I introduce it? Is punctuality important to you? Why?
Sorry. That help you take that. Let's restart that one.